Om. 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light of the self. I welcome all of you to today's session of Yoga Vashista. I am a student. I am studying myself and conducting this study hour as a sharing with other students of my notes. I am not a Pandita. I am not a Jnani. I am not a Guru. I am just a student. I am reading from a book published by Ramakrishna Math. It's in Telugu on Yoga Vasishta. While reading, I make some notes and I am it's in Telugu. I am translating it into English. I'm referring to few books and talking on that. This is an attempt for me to understand as my learning. If I make any mistakes are in my understanding, not in the original one. Please forgive me if I make any mistakes. We have completed Vairagya Prakarana. First Prakarana we have completed. Now we are starting Mumukshu Vyavahara Prakarana. What is Mumukshu Vyavahara Prakarana? In this Prakarana, who is a Mumukshu? Mumukshu means a person, a spiritual seeker who has strong desire for liberation. So, who is Mumukshu? Who is qualified as a Mumukshu? What is the effort, spiritual effort, practices that Mumukshu will do? And in all these efforts, who is the controlling all these efforts? How is ignorance and wisdom interacting? How is a person moving from ignorance to wisdom? How can blossoming of wisdom can happen? What is the true nature of the jiva, individual soul? What is the importance of spiritual practice? What is the importance of self-inquiry? How can a jiva be liberated and enlightened? All these things are discussed in this prakarana. A disciple who is listening to the teaching, what is his qualification? What should be his preparation? What should be his attitude towards the Guru? All these things Vashista, sage Vashista has discussed. Any jiva, any individual person, through his or her spiritual practices, can attain wisdom, jnana, and get rid of ajnana. This prakarana, Mumukshu Vyavahara prakarana, prepares a person on the attitude, practices, how a mumukshu should behave, all these things, this prakarana is going to teach. In this, we are going to read about first chapter in Mumukshu Vyavahara Prakarana. This is named as the it is about Sri Sage Shuka. This is the story of Sage Shuka. Who is Shuka? Shuka Maharshi is the son of Sage Vedavyasa. How did he got enlightened? How did Sage Shuka Maharshi got enlightened or is explained in this story. Sri Rama has talked about his dispassion, Vairagya, in the Vairagya Prakarana. Hearing those wise words, all the people assembled there, they all appreciated Sri Rama's wise words. Then many sages gathered to hear the answers to Sri Rama's words. In that assembly, in the king's assembly, Sri Vishwamitra said the following words to Sri Rama. Sri Sage Vishwamitra, Sri Vishwamitra Maharshi is saying, O Raghava, Raghava means Sri Rama. You spoke the truth. Your intellect is sharp and subtle. You have grasped the truth. There is nothing more to be told to you. There is nothing more you need to know. But there is a small correction needed to be done to your intellect. It needs to be polished. You have grasped the truth, but it needs some polish. I will recite to you one anecdote, one historical anecdote. Once upon a time, there was a great sage called Sri Veda Vyasa Maharshi. He had a son called Shuka Maharshi, Sage Shuka. Sage Shuka did enquiry, self-enquiry, and grasped the truth. But he was not satisfied. He needed the assurance or the assuring words of King Janaka to stabilize in the wisdom. I'll tell you that story. O Rama, look there. Near the throne of your father, the sage Vedavyasa is sitting. Vyasa Maharshi, the divine sage. His son is Shuka Maharshi. Shuka, by birth, is very wise, very great intellect. When in his early youth, he was dispassionate and he was meditating in a solitude. He has contemplated on life. He did self-enquiry. He became peaceful with a calm mind. He contemplated on life, the principles of life, and the troubles of samsara. He contemplated and he did self-enquiry. When he did for some time self-enquiry, his intellect blossomed and wisdom has dawned. He has attained highest wisdom. He has understood the truth, but his mind has not accepted it. It is not at rest. His mind was saying, whatever I have grasped the truth, is it the supreme truth? Is it right? I am an individual jiva. I am a jiva. I am an individual soul. And in the reality, in my essence, am I non-different from Supreme Soul? The Jivatma is made up of individual soul, individual. His body is limited. His mind is limited. His intellect is limited. Whereas Ishvara is unlimited, infinite. How can a limited jiva can be said to be same or similar to Ishvara, the Supreme Soul? This doubt was troubling him. Therefore, he is not totally free from the samsara. His mind has reached a highest state of dispassion from the world. That means the foundation has been laid, but he is yet to be established in the supreme truth, fully convinced. Then he stopped his contemplation and he approached his father, Vyasa Maharshi. He did namaskara to Vyasa Maharshi and said, "Oh father, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I am pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi, Atma Swarupi. However, how did this entire samsara evolved out of me? How am I stuck in this samsara? Who is the creator of this samsara? I am in this upadhi, in this body. Am I same as the supreme truth? Is this real? Is this the real knowledge? Is this the real truth? Please remove my doubt. Veda Vyasa Maharshi is an enlightened being. He has tried to explain to Shuka whatever he knows by quoting scriptures, by logic. He explained the nature of soul and supreme soul. But Shuka Maharshi thought, whatever my father is telling me, I already know this. Vyasa Maharshi saw that Shuka Maharshi is not paying attention. So he thought, okay, I may not be the right person to explain these things to you. Oh Shuka, I am not the right person to tell you. I have told you what I know, but you are not paying attention. Therefore, you go to Mithila kingdom, the kingdom of Mithila Nagara. Mithila Nagara has a king called Janaka Maharaja, Janaka, who is an enlightened king. He is a royal sage. He is a very wise person. He is wiser than me. Go and surrender to him and ask for wisdom from him. There you will know what is truth. Shuka bowed down to his father and started to go towards Mithila Nagara. He reached the gates of royal palace in the Mithila Nagara, in the kingdom of city of Mithila. And he told to the gatekeepers, I have come from a very far place. I have come to meet King Janaka to acquire self-knowledge, Atma Jnana. And then the gatekeepers went to report this to King Janaka. Janaka thought about it, listened to this. He thought about it for a minute. and said, okay, let him come. Now I don't have time. I have to take care of the kingdom. There are so many royal duties I am bound to perform. Therefore, ask him to wait at the gate till I send a word for him to come. Sukha Maharshi waited at the gate patiently. 7 days has passed. Then King Janaka called the gatekeeper and said, you go and find the sage Shuka who is waiting at the gate. Show him a place to stay in our city, some rest house or guest house. Show him a guest house. Tell him that I am busy with my royal duties. And 1 more week it will take for me to talk to him. Then, in a guest house, Shuka Maharshi waited for another 7 days. Shuka Maharshi waited patiently for another 7 days. King Janaka was observing all the time Shuka Maharshi through his spies. And he learned that Shuka is patiently waiting. He wanted to test him further. Then he called the gatekeeper and asked him to invite Shuka into the royal palace, into the luxurious room, and asked him to stay there for another 7 days. He arranged for a wonderful banquet of dinner, wonderful food. Many paricharikas, many beautiful women were serving Shuka Maharshi. They were dancing, they were singing, they were doing all sevas to Shuka Maharshi. But Shuka Maharshi, in the midst of the pleasures, he was silently, patiently waiting for King Janaka. He was not at all attracted to the worldly pleasures. King Janaka made Shuka Maharshi stay in those pleasurable, luxurious palace for 7 days. And in this, he observed Shuka Maharshi. Shuka Maharshi was unperturbed, unattracted to all these things. And then King Janaka went himself to Shuka Maharshi and invited him to the royal assembly, and in front of everyone, he washed his feet. King Janaka washed the feet of Shuka Maharshi and asked him to sit on the throne and paid obeisance to him and said, O Shukadeva, now you tell me, now I recognize your greatness. You are equanimous in all situations. You are patient, you are calm, you are equanimous between highs and lows of life. You have exhibited the behavior of an enlightened being. An enlightened being will be equanimous in any situation, whether it is a pleasure, pain, or a neutral position. I am very happy at your behavior. Now you tell me why you have come to Mithila Nagara. What do you want from me? What do you want to know from me? Shuka Maharshi said, O Guruvarya, O Guru, I am troubled by one doubt. Who is this Jiva, individual soul? If the Supreme Soul and individual soul are same, why did the Jiva, individual soul, feel the limitedness of the body, limitation and separation from others? If what the scriptures say that it is Advaita, it is one reality, why do I feel separation? Why do Jiva feel separated? There are differences. There is Dvaita. There is duality. I am different from others. This feeling is coming for everyone. If Advaita is right, why should there be this feeling? Where are these different forms coming from? Then Janaka has explained in detail about the truth and the falsity of the world, the supreme truth about Atma Swarupa and the falsity of the world. He has explained in detail. Sri Shuka Maharshi listened to all of them and thanked Janaka Maharaja and said, whatever you say, everything I understood, I have that wisdom by my own contemplation. I read Upanishads, I read Shastras. All these things, as told in the Upanishads, as told by my father, as told by you, and as told by various gurus, all these things, as told by elders, I observed and understood. My father also told me that this samsara is emanating from the ignorance, avidya, ajnana. When the ignorance is removed, the jiva becomes blissful and the jiva will shine as Atma Swarupa, as Brahma Swarupa. That's what my father also told me. I am understanding this. Jiva, through wisdom and removal of ignorance, is nothing but Brahman. This I am understanding. But I am not understanding what is the meaning of when ignorance is removed. I am not understanding that. How, what is the sign by which I can know that my ignorance is removed? How do I know that my ignorance is totally removed? I am not getting the non-dual experience. I'm not experiencing the non-dual experience. I'm still seeing duality. If I am the non-dual Brahman, I am separate from others. This optical field illusion, why is it still there? Why am I not getting the non-dual experience? Then Janaka said, Muniswara, O sage, you have understood that you are Brahman. You have learned this from your father. Whatever you have learned, you have contemplated and understood is Brahma Tattva. There is nothing more you need to know. You can consider yourself as Brahmajnani without doubt, because the reason being, you, I have kept you 21 days waiting. First, you waited at the gate for 7 days. And in your mind, there is no difference. You were patiently waiting. And I kept you waiting in a guest house for 7 days. For you, waiting at the gate and waiting in the guest house are same. There is no difference in your mind. And then I made you wait in the royal palace for 7 days. For you, being in the midst of pleasures doesn't make any difference to your mind. Your mind was equanimous in all the 3 different situations. You didn't get anger, you didn't get lust, you didn't get greed, you didn't get any vikara in your mind. You were equanimous. By the addition of pleasures or subtraction of pleasures, you didn't change. There is no change in your mind, in your attitude. I did not respect you when you came here. I insulted you by making you wait at the gate. You were not offended by the insult. So, this means even though the world is appearing in front of your eyes in various fashion, you were unaffected by what is happening in the world. That is called Brahmistiti. That is what our rishis told the state to be in. That is called jnana. That is moksha. That is as good as you have rejected the world as unreal. It doesn't have to be the world. See, non-duality does not mean the world has to disappear. Non-duality means whether the picture is in front of you or it is not in front of you, your mind should be tranquil. That tranquility is called non-duality. This way, whatever is happening in the world, if you are tranquil and equanimous, it is as good as rejecting the world. Whatever is left is whatever, when you are not affected by anything, that state, that sthiti is Brahmi sthiti. That is Swaswarupa, your real nature. That is called Parabrahma. by the knowers of Veda. Please understand that a person who is equanimous, undisturbed, unperturbed by the world, that is called that is called the real self, and that is called Parabrahma by the knowers of Veda. O Maharshi, such a person who is equanimous is the truth. Everything else is our imaginations. Therefore, don't think that there is I, you, and there is a separate state called Brahman, which I have to acquire. All these are because of ignorance. Those who think that there are differences and gets afraid or some vikara happens in his mind, that is called as jiva. When this modification of mind does not happen, that is called swaswarupa, real state, atma or parabrahma. O Mahatma, you are equanimous towards insults and praise and pleasures and pain, and your mind is stable. This you have proved by your behavior. Therefore, you have become Mahavira, great warrior. So Janak Maharaja is saying, when I asked you to wait at the gate, your behavior was equanimous. You didn't mind insult. And when I asked you to stay in the palace, your mind was equanimous. You didn't get attracted to the pleasures. Your mind is stable. This you have exhibited by your behavior. So, there is nothing obstruction in the knowledge or wisdom in your mind. You know the truth. That's why you are dispassionate. Vairagya is there in you. You were nissanga, without any association in the mind. Whatever all the shastras, scriptures are teaching, all the gurus are teaching, all the different types of do's and don'ts are prescribed. Everything, all the rituals, all these are there to teach the individual to be equanimous and dispassionate. You have attained that dispassion and equanimity. Therefore, there is nothing to be taught to you, or you need not listen to any more discourses. Those who attain fulfillment, completion, only can be equanimous and dispassionate. It is natural for such persons who are fulfilled to be dispassionate. Through your own contemplation, you have attained completion and fulfillment. Your father, Vedavyasa, is a treasure trove of jnana, wisdom. He is a great sage, but even he do not have such dispassion as you have. As for me, I am living in the midst of royal pleasures, but I am unattached or dispassionate, equanimous through all the trials and tribulations of ruling a kingdom. I am also equanimous and stable of mind. But you are even more greater than me. You have gone beyond all kinds of ups and downs of the mind. You have reached supreme state of dispassion. Therefore, whatever our scriptures are saying, you have attained. Whatever our scriptures are saying as the highest state, you have achieved. You will not be troubled by the world. Whatever happens in the world, you have gone, transcended the world. Whatever happens in the world stopped troubling you. Therefore, there is nothing that can disturb you. As you are undisturbed in every situation, you are considered unbounded. You are not in bondage. Therefore, you can be considered as liberated. Why do you have doubts about it? There is something greater than this. Such kind of thoughts you have to reject and get rid of. You are you have transcended the tricks of the mind. Therefore, you have reached the highest state which is told by our scriptures. You are liberated. Now you do as you please. I bow down to you, who is an Atma Jnani. You do as you please. O Rama, listening to this from King Janaka, Shuka Yogi dropped all doubts from his mind, and his mind rested in the Atma Swarupa, in the Supreme Self, which is the Self which does not have any doubts, which is not disturbed by what happens in the world. He is free from sorrow, suffering, doubt, fear, anger, and agitation. He bowed down to Janaka and left Mithila kingdom and reached the mountain Meru. He did penance, meditation for many years there, and he attained nirvana. All his samskaras are removed. He became purified, and he left his body and became Videha Mukta, meaning he was liberated while alive, and after dropping of the body, he merged with Brahman. And Vishwamitra is saying, this way, the son of Vyasa, Shukadeva, even though through his contemplation, he has understood the wisdom, he required a gentle correction by Janaka Maharaja, a reassurance from Janaka Maharaja. And he became established without doubt in the Brahmi Sthiti. Vishwamitra is saying, similar to Shukadeva, our own Prince Rama also, through his contemplation, has attained the highest wisdom. He has known what is to be known. He has developed dispassion and vairagya. Dispassion and vairagya towards worldly pleasures is seen only in Tattvajnanis, philosophers, and wise people. The bondage of samsara is because of the desires and sense pleasures. We heard from wise elders that the tendencies for sense pleasures, if they are there, that is called bondage. And when the tendencies, vasanas, are not there for sense pleasures, desires are dropped, that is called liberation. This is what our elders has taught us. Another thing, dispassion and knowledge about the self can also happen due to it can happen temporarily or partially and partially. You listen to some spiritual discourse by a wise person, and for a temporary period of time, you may be attracted to the teaching and you think that you have understood. And temporarily, there might be a dispassion or vairagya. But for that vairagya and the wisdom to stabilize, it requires a lot of practice of the intellect to be without any associations with the sensory pleasures. Desires has to be left off, has to be transcended. This is very difficult. One may get, by listening to discourses, one may get a knowledge and wisdom. But if that person's vasanas are strong and he is troubled by desires, he cannot be called a tattvajnani, a wise man. A wise man is the one whose wisdom is not overpowered by desire and anger. When the jiva, individual being, knows what is truth, what is wisdom, and knows the answer to the question, who am I? Only then, when he realizes his true nature, only then he will be free from the bondage of the association, identification with the body, mind, and intellect, and pleasures, sensory pleasures, wealth, properties, family. A person will be free from all these things. Some people may do spiritual practices just as a show off, but that is not right. One should be genuinely attracted by the spiritual practices, and one should be genuinely wanting to be free from the bondage. Such people are noble souls. Sri Rama has explained what are the defects in the viewpoint of him, in the materialistic viewpoint, and sense pleasures and worldly pleasures. This child, Sri Rama, has understood what is important. But small doubts are lingering in his mind. Those need to be addressed. If his wisdom is polished and rough edges are smoothened out, he can rest in the wisdom. In this assembly, I pray to sage Vashista Maharshi, who is Brahmajnani. He is the guru of the clan of Raghu. He is omniscient. He is witness of all. I pray to such Vashista Maharshi to teach Sri Rama the Atma Jnana, the knowledge about self and self-enquiry, about the self-enquiry. I pray to Vashista Maharshi to teach Sri Rama. Vishwamitra is saying to Vashista, "O Vashista Maharshi, once upon a time we were opponents. We were fighting with each other. To make peace between us, Brahmadeva has taught us Atma Jnana, wisdom about self, knowledge about self. That knowledge, that wisdom about self can remove all doubts and make a person peaceful. O Brahmarshi, Vashishta, if you teach Atma Jnana to Sri Rama, he will benefit. Not only that, through him, when he rules the kingdom, all the people of his kingdom will also benefit by the Atma Jnana of Sri Rama. Therefore, not only Sri Rama, all the people of the kingdom will also learn along with Sri Rama, because Sri Rama will rule by example. Therefore, everybody will be purified. Sri Rama is a fit student. He is fully qualified to receive Atma Jnana from you. If you teach him, your teaching will also be fulfilled. The Atma Jnana should be taught to a qualified student who has Shraddha, Bhakti, who has faith, devotion, dispassion, who is devoid of pride, arrogance. Such a Sishya, disciple, if a guru teaches to such a Sishya, that teaching is greatest teaching. The teaching which can remove the ignorance in the mind and make a person equanimous and tranquil and removes all doubts. Such a teaching is called a truthful teaching and greatest teaching. Only you, Vashista Maharshi, are capable of giving such teaching. If a teaching is given to somebody who doesn't value that and who does not do service to the Guru, who does not have faith in the Guru, who finds faults with the teaching, who does not have dispassion, who is not qualified to be a student, that is unholy teaching. O Vashista Maharshi, you are a sage of great compassion and dispassion. You do not have anger or fear. You are pure and holy. You are a saint. If if a saint such as you teaches, that will take give a greater effect to a qualified student. Like this, Vishwamitra has prayed to Vashishta Maharshi to teach Sri Rama. Then great sages, rishis in that assembly who are sitting in that assembly like Veda Vyasa and Narada Maharshi. All of them also looked at Vasishta Maharshi and prayed to him to teach Sri Rama. Then Vasishta Maharshi is saying the following words. O Vishwamitra, O great sage Vishwamitra, great sages like Vyasa and Narada, I will obey your command. Nobody has the capacity or capability not to follow the commands of great sages like you. You have appointed me to teach Rama Atmajnana. I will obey your command and teach Rama to the best of my ability. If a lamp is lit, it removes darkness. Similarly, let us light the lamp of wisdom, which will remove the darkness of ignorance. Once upon a time, my father Brahmadeva has taught to me and to other rishis the knowledge of the self, Atma Jnana. I remember that. My effort to teach the Atma Jnana, knowledge of the self, to Sri Rama may benefit entire world. May every being be peaceful and learn from this teaching. And Vasishta Maharshi meditated, contemplated on the Atma Jnana, and in his mind, he has prepared a lesson plan with examples, similes, and various subject matters to be discussed. He has prepared what is to be taught in his mind. And that arrangements had been made in that assembly for a speaker and to the listeners so that the teaching can happen and Vashista Maharshi prepared to teach Sri Rama the knowledge of the self, which can remove the ignorance. It is known as Yoga Vasishta or Akhanda Ramayana, and he started to speak. With this, first chapter in Mumukshu Vyavahara Prakarana has ended. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.